Here's Brody Brazil.
Just for the sake of accuracy, I went back and checked my own records on this one. It was December 17th. I made a video saying that the Giants could still win the winter. Now, at that point, they already had Bob Melvin secured. They had just signed Jung-Hoo Lee, but there was a lot of question after the Ohtani signing, like what else would the Giants do to complete their offseason? And I said, yeah, they could still win their winter, and a number of things would need to happen, but two of them specifically. One would be signing Matt Chapman. The other would be signing Blake Snell. They did both. In fact, they did more than all of that. So now I'm here to say, about 3 months later, that they won the winter. Now, I still don't even like the term winning the winter because, there's no baseball games between the World Series and opening day that actually matter. But you can, in the offseason, set your team up for success. And in this case, the Giants totally changed course. They changed the direction of their franchise, and I really think they put the cherry on top of a very successful last couple months. And when you think about what they accomplished over this winter, there's a number of different things here. But number one on my list was landing Bob Melvin. A new manager, a brand new coaching staff, essentially. Bob Melvin was under contract, and he was also in division with the Padres. And the Giants were so fortunate that that didn't work out in San Diego. At one point, it looked like Melvin was bound to stay in San Diego, with A.J. Preller still calling the front office shots for the Padres. But amazingly, the window opens up. San Francisco is his landing spot. And so it starts there. Then there were the late ads, obviously Snell and Chapman, and we'll go into more detail about those two and how long they held out for in just a second. But the Jung-Hoo Lee signing, I think, is so interesting. It's so compelling. You add Ray, Hicks, Soler. This team was kind of in a rut. In transition, but also in a rut. Had some good pieces, not enough good pieces, maybe not even a personality to go along with all those pieces. But it seems like the moves they made this winter really put them in a better position and point them in a better direction. I think that's probably the bigger thing. This could be still just the start of what they're now aiming to do. And for a lot of people who said, well, they don't spend, they right now are lined up to be spending over the luxury tax. I think for the first time since last decade, but here they are putting their money where their mind and mouths are. And so I think this is a franchise statement, what they did this past winter. And look, sometimes spending money, anybody can do that, I suppose, but spending it the right way, getting the right names, building your team the proper way, I think that's what's most outstanding about this. So was it worth the wait? Because quite honestly, for so long, and back when I made that video in December, it didn't look like Matt Chapman or Blake Snell would necessarily be landing in San Francisco. There were a lot of potential suitors out there, and even up until recent weeks, I obviously thought the Giants were done. Blake Snell might be an angel. I heard some talk about that. Of course, a couple other big market teams were in the running to get him. But in the end, it was worth the wait for San Francisco. As for these players and their contracts with all the opt-outs, I know people are going to point the finger at Scott Boras and say, what were you doing to these guys? I don't know about that. They still have some flexibility. They're still getting taken care of. These are platform seasons for them. If they do well, they do have some control over their situation. But the Giants have them for 2024, and that's what fans wanted to see. Here's the contract details on Snell via the San Francisco Chronicle. Snell signed a 2-year, $62 million contract with the Giants that includes an opt-out, obviously, between the 2 years. Sources confirmed the Chronicle, the news first reported by the New York Post. The contract includes a $17 million signing bonus payable in January 2026 and will pay him $15 million in 2024. There was also this interesting write-up from MLB.com, which spells out Snell's last year and how it went. Now, obviously, we're talking about a 2-time Cy Young Award winner in both the American and National League, but check out how his 2023 actually went beyond just the stats. On May 19th, Snell was 1-6 with a 5.40 ERA after 9 starts. I mean, that's a pretty decent sample size right there, leading many to project that he was costing himself a ton of money in free agency for this upcoming season. From that point forward, he was arguably the best pitcher in baseball, going 13-3 with a 1.20 ERA across his final 23 starts. Snell, the 2018 American League Cy Young Award winner, did add a second Cy Young to his resume this season, which would make the left-hander only the 7th pitcher to earn that honor in both leagues. So looking at Snell's stats, I mean, yeah, he had the great 2018 Cy Young Award-winning season with the Rays, great 2023 Cy Young Award-winning season with the Padres. How about everything else in between? Now, I'm not here to complain at a 3.38 ERA in 2022, or it was a shortened 2020. The stats in that year, very hard to judge, but a 3.24 ERA there. I guess even a 4.04 ERA in 2017. But I'm also looking at innings pitched. Now, in his best seasons, 180. And that's kind of a benchmark these days. No longer is it 200. 180 innings, 31, 32 starts. That's pretty much what you're going to get these days from the upper echelon pitchers. Again, I think Snell is a great signing. I'm not here to nitpick, but I'm also noticing that there's not a complete game to his name across the career yet. And maybe, hopefully, it comes in San Francisco, Pitchers Park, but that's definitely not something on the checklist so far. So again, 2 really standout seasons and a couple other pretty good seasons. It's just kind of interesting how he's been consistent to a certain degree, and then he's been flat out outstanding across 2 specific seasons, but even last year, it wasn't always that way, especially the start of the season versus the end of the season. And how about this report from Alex Pavlovich of NBC Sports Bay Area, my colleague? Snell last year walked 99 batters in 180 innings, but also allowed just 115 hits and struck out 234 batters. Wow. Doing it the hard way. Over his final 23 starts, he allowed just 19 runs, a run that led to Snell locking up 28 of 30 first place Cy Young votes. He was dominant when it mattered. The Padres season itself was an interesting study and story, but as for Blake Snell, he definitely turned it on at that mid to late May point. More from Alex. Command has always been an issue for the longtime Tampa Bay Ray, but he might have the best 4-pitch repertoire. Got hung up on that one. In the game, Snell's fastball averaged 95.5 miles an hour last season, and opponents hit under 200 against his curveball, changeup, and slider. So there you go. The heater and the velo are there, but it's his off-speed stuff is what puts hitters away. So looking at an eventual rotation, and I've got 6 names on here for San Francisco. Obviously, Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb are not going to start the season dealing with injuries right now, but look at this eventual rotation for the Giants. And at one point, it was basically just Webb and Harrison and Cobb as your 1, 2, 3, and you had some up-and-comers, and you've still got a nice little pipeline of arms and names, but you don't even necessarily need those right now. I say eventual rotation, and I have 6 names on here. Obviously, you'd probably usually be dealing with 5, but imagine this as your post-All-Star break rotation. Now, we know last year it was the Giants lineup that cost them in the second half of the season. They just could not score runs to save themselves, but you need this. You also need this, and they've definitely bolstered their pitching along the way. So here are my takeaways from the Snell signing and from this offseason. Yeah, March 18th, pretty late in the game, pretty late in spring training for Blake Snell to join any team, whether it was the Giants or anybody else. But you know what? By June, rewind this video back in June. Well, nobody rewinds things anymore, but watch this again in June. You won't even remember or care. When Blake Snell signed, he's already been pitching. This is not an issue. It's not like he's showing up to Scottsdale tomorrow or today and saying, "Hi, guys, I haven't thrown a pitch. Here I am." He's ready to go. He's already doing his thing, his pace. Sure, he hasn't pitched in spring training games, but he's got almost 1,000 big league innings. How much does he really need of that? Again, by June, nobody's going to remember when he signed. He's not going to miss any games this year. So agent stuff aside, holding out stuff aside, it doesn't matter at this point. And I think for the Giants, now that you got Chapman, now that you got Snell and Soler and some others, it's no longer a question of, are you still rebuilding? I mean, over the course of one offseason, it's pretty obvious that they are moving forward and trying to compete in 2024. And it's still a very tough division. The Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, who knows what the Padres are going to be. The only one kind of crossed off the list is just the Rockies. But you can really only judge the winter and what you were able to do against yourself. Everybody's going to point to the Dodgers. Everybody saw what they did, and deferring money, and Ohtani, and Yamamoto. I can't say much more about that other than you have no control over that. But if you're just judging the offseason yourself against yourself, I think you have to give Farhan Zaidi, the Giants front office, some pretty high marks of what they were able to accomplish. And so that brings me to the ultimate question here. How much better are the Dodgers as a team with what they did? How much better are the Diamondbacks as a team with what they've already got, how they matured, what they experienced? How much better now are the Giants because of the winter that they just had? They were 79 and 83 last year. I'm here to say that instantly, with the moves they made, and especially where they made the moves and who they got, I think they're easily a 90-plus win team right now. I don't think adding 11 wins and looking at the personnel is a stretch. Some teams, if you don't change much, 11 wins season to season is a lot. But in this case, they've changed their face. They've changed who they are so greatly that I think they're easily in the 90-win conversation. Now, what does that get them? Is it 90 wins? Is it 91 wins? Is it 97 wins? Is it 99 wins? I don't know. But I do know that they won the winter for themselves, and I think that's going to help them win a lot more baseball games this upcoming season. You made it here to the end of the video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. And as always, go down there right now, hit that subscribe button. Please do me that favor so I can definitely see you back here next time.